Most people treat email like a chore, a checkbox, something they send when they remember or when sales are slow. But Phil treats it like a craft, like a chef who knows the smell of firewood before the grill's even lit. He's not chasing trends, he's building systems that print revenue at 3 a.m. while you're asleep. I've seen a lot of folks talk a big game, but Phil shows receipts. 400 plus brands, hundreds of millions in back end revenue, and the kicker is stuff that just works. So if you're trying to build something real, he's the guy when you're done playing games.
Did you write that or ChatGPT?
Oh, both, man. Yeah, I
I
got
like
like a
it,
little
dude.
style prompt. Yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
it, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
I like
yeah.
it. I like smells. Whatever you said about the fire burning with the wood.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a little bit of my voice. You know how like you tell chat like, hey, help me, and then you add my voice, add my inputs, and so
100%.
uh, yeah, I guess we could get into that
Dude, that's
now a
right.
little bit with like AI, but let's kind of get into it. I mean, tell us a little bit about your background and kind of just kind of how you got into email marketing.
Dude, I'm old in the internet game, like you.
Same, bro.
Um, the way I got started was I used to sell T-shirts that coincided with the releases of Nike Dunks on message boards. So this is like circa 2005,
Yeah,
and back then there was only email. That's all you could do.
yeah,
Like like maybe PPC, but there was no Meta ads. Yeah, Meta like just started. So I just got good at building a list and sending emails. We didn't have all the cool features we have now in SendLane or Klaviyo,
right,
PostScript, Attentive, whatever it may be.
right.
Um, and so I just cut my teeth on that. And then obviously over the years been exposed to other stuff, running media on Meta or what have you. But email is just like I just see the matrix. It's just where I am the most comfortable because I've spent the most time doing it.
Right.
And so that's really how I started. And then when I started initially in the agency world, I was at a job at some software company and I was like, wanted to earn extra cash, and I was like, well, what do I do? I was like, oh, I'll start an agency. And so one of the first clients, my first client was just email. At the time, he was my first client, so I'd only done it for myself before.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then the rest is history.
that's cool. That's cool. So, what's something you built that you felt like made one of your clients' lives better? What was kind of a personal story there that you felt like really had an impact on someone that you
So
worked with?
you like from an email perspective, because like when I interpret your question, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
of it how I make their life better. I can make them money, but if I
yeah,
think even more meta
yeah.
is most clients that use an agency, they don't have a good agency experience. And that's not to say I'm always perfect or always give everyone the best experience, because I've definitely lost clients in my day for sure.
Right,
How that
right.
being said, to answer your question, I feel like the way that outside of making them money, which is the obvious way,
Hmm.
is creating an environment where we communicate in such a way that no other agency does, or just really giving people the best service. And so
Yeah,
if I'm doing emails and text messages, campaigns and flows, and someone else is, by and large, it's going to be very difficult for anyone to assess Phil's better
mhm,
than that person or that person's better than Phil, right? It's his claims against mine, what have you.
right,
But
right,
the service is like, that you can't argue with it, but you have to be inside to see
right.
what you have to be inside to see what it's like. But I think, or in the feedback I've gotten over the years is, especially more recently as I've had more and more experience, um, it's just that the way that we communicate, the way that we show up, how detail oriented we are,
Right.
is pretty differentiated relative to most. And I feel like how do I add them? Yeah, I think your question was how do I add the most value to them, but I
Yeah.
really think it's giving them an experience in which they're like, oh, these folks are being good stewards, fiduciaries of my business, and every
Mhm.
time we interact, they're buttoned up, and it goes a long way.
That's awesome. Yeah, same thing with my agency. I kind of have this thing internally, like I want to be boringly consistent and boringly communicative. Like
Correct.
I just want to be like every day. Here's our EOD. Like, I don't feel, even if it feels repetitive, I think people really appreciate that it's consistent and that it communicates every day.
And it doesn't have to be rocket appliances, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's like doing the fundamentals fundamentally well every
Hmm.
day. And I use
Hmm.
the Raiders tagline, commitment to excellence, all the time
Hmm.
internally. And it's like that
Hmm.
what we're doing is not hard, and especially the repetitive stuff. But it's just
Right.
like there's a lot of, as you know, in the world of email in particular, or in this case, there's a lot of nuance or moving pieces for even just one email, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
multiply that times, let's just say 20 per account per month. then all
Yeah.
of a sudden there's a lot of little nuances and dependencies that can go wrong. That's why if you stick to the fundamentals, usually it goes pretty smooth.
Right. No, I agree with that. I agree. Okay, so talked about really good. What's a mistake that you kind of made? Alluding that you always haven't given great,
I
maybe.
mean, I think it's just growing pains. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So, like, if I rewind back to, like, 2019, 2020, when I was really just adding clients
You're right.
very quickly, obviously there's going to be breakage that comes with that, right? Communication breakdown, just not very detail oriented or service oriented enough. You know what I mean? So, how
Right.
that manifests is clients leave more quickly than they do on average, for example. So that's obviously a red flag that things need attention. But I think,
Hmm.
when I started, I didn't have agency experience. I had just run email
Right.
for me and had success, and I felt comfortable. I felt confident enough to be able to offer my expertise to other people and charge money for it, but make them a greater return than what they pay me in dollars.
Right. Right.
And along the way, you just fucking figure shit out. Like none of us
Yeah.
know shit, and that was one of the things, man. It's just like, oh
Well,
wow, yeah, like I do need to slow down a little bit to fix this stuff.
oh yeah, we've all been there. I mean, if you ran an agency, you get it. Like you
You get
just kind
it.
of grow too fast and you can't pay attention. Yeah, 100% agree. So let's talk about real quick. Like you have AI sort of coming into the equation here. You have more data than ever because again, when you and I were like sending blast off from like Gmail or Constant Contact,
Yeah.
there wasn't really like a lot of data for us to go off of. But now that we have more data, how do you navigate your decision making and accounts with like that gut feeling you have as an email marketer versus the data that you're being provided with now?
Yeah, good question. I think from a data perspective, it's like very helpful for strategic things
Yeah.
or recognizing patterns, but it's difficult to use in real time every single day.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, I think a lot of the intuition based or experience based decisions are more things that happen intraday. Things that come up. Whereas from a strategic perspective, it's more so having access to all the data, but also knowing what to look for. So again, because we have so much, the tendency is to like use all of it, which argue like to a degree is like it's too much almost,
Mhm.
right? And you get really tripped up because there's so much to consume, but you can't do everything at one time. And
Right.
so the way that I think about it is like if we look at this, we have all this data, but any business we want to use the data for, it's really like, okay, what are the objectives we're trying to drive in the business, and what are the data points that we need to internalize to
Mhm.
determine uh, how we can best affect driving whatever those outcomes are. A very simple example is
Mhm.
like, okay, if any business, doesn't matter if you're e-com or you're selling digital products or high ticket, doesn't matter, but you're
Right.
capturing leads and you're driving conversions. That conversion could be in a shopping cart, it could be
Mhm.
on a phone call or a booking on a calendar, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But again, one very simple outcome for any business is how efficient are you at capturing the leads and then converting those people into whatever the conversion mechanism is by buying the first time in the cart, booking a phone call, calling a phone number, whatever it may be. And so then it's like, okay, if you're like, okay, this is one of the North Stars. What
Mhm.
data do we need to tell us if we're doing good or not, or what aids the effort in driving that thing? And then we just focus on those as opposed, and you can kind of ignore the rest of the million other data points that don't serve that singular or that dual focus that maybe you have.
Yeah. No, I agree
Does that
with
make
that. So
sense?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So so you get access to an account. What's the first couple of things you look at, and where's the first things you feel like brands need to optimize right away? Like what is a couple of things they just common mistakes.
I would say the overwhelming majority of oversights that I see are lead generation is neglected, and
Okay.
so
Yeah, let's talk about lead generation. Break that down real quick.
I'll use ecom as an example, but
Yeah.
this it can be applied to anything. The KPIs change. That's the only difference. But through the
Yeah.
lens of ecom, the mechanism most folks are using is a pop up with a discount or some offer on the
Yeah.
front end
Yeah.
to commandeer email addresses and or phone numbers.
Hmm.
And they don't know what good looks like, and so what they do is they put something there. They're like, "Oh, box checked.
Yeah.
We have a pop up," and they'll let
Yeah.
it ride for 3 years. They'll never touch it again, right?
Yeah. 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 You're right.
And so now realizing that at minimum, they should be converting 5% of traffic into captured emails with the goal of finding an offer that converts 10, 15%. 15 is not easy to do. Even 10 is not easy to do, but 5, any business by and large can achieve that. And getting closer to 10, it becomes more creative. But nonetheless, those are the sort of like, if I'm going to give table stakes KPIs for all listeners, minimum you want an offer that converts at 5. The goal is to get something 10% or above. What I consistently see is people sub 5, been there for a long time, don't know that even if they're at 3, they should be at 5, but then they'd be getting 40% more emails every day, every week, every month, every year. And then they'd have a bigger audience size to send emails to, text messages to, so on and so forth. So that's the biggest thing, because you can't send emails to people or text messages to folks that aren't in the database anyways. So even if you optimize for this one thing, or focus on this one thing and capturing as many leads as you can, even if the rest of the downstream stuff, the campaigns and the flows aren't great, you'll still just sell more stuff because there's more people you're sending messages to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And so would the next step to be look at the welcome flow?
So then first is what percentage of people we capture to opt in. The second piece is how efficient are we at getting those people that opted in to do the thing we want them to do, buy in the shopping cart, book a phone call, whatever it may be. Right. And so the welcome flow is one element of that, but so are the other flows if they're structured in such a way where they're bifurcated for retention or acquisition respectively. And the campaigns. So what's the campaign strategy for those folks that have never given money? I look at it broadly as just how efficient are we at getting people to do what we want them to do, and capturing money the first time is a major hurdle for any business, right? And so for most of the clients for all the clients that I work with, that efficiency is like one of the major things that we're always keeping our thumb on the pulse of. In the event that it's not good or needs attention, we can get in front of it sooner than later. But did I sufficiently answer the question, though?
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. Okay. I think a lot of people just don't know their metrics. You know,
they don't.
I post my metrics every week, and it's something that I just really believe in. You got to know your metrics. You got to pay attention to your metrics, and
what gets measured gets managed.
Exactly. And that's something I'm learning in all areas of my life, just constantly. And so, but a big part of that was just really having to do it for myself.
Yeah.
Tell me something that, what's maybe an unorthodox or unpopular email method that, you swear by? Is there anything out of the box, that little secret sauce, the Phil Rivers kind of method,
I mean, the biggest, I don't know if it's unorthodox, but maybe something that most people don't think about. Maybe, maybe some of the inside baseball guys do.
Yeah.
But the body politic doesn't cross their radar. But I think a couple of the big things are like deviations of time. So like what is and I guess recency would be another way to put it. So how recently did they do the thing? And then what are the deviations of time relative to the recency? And there's patterns that in any business are there. So like in e-com, for example, most people, if they opt in, are going to buy within 10 days, with the overwhelming majority buying on the first day. So, but meanwhile, people aren't orienting their strategy to be very aggressive on the first day. They're being sort of very laissez-faire, have delays in their welcome automation of 2-3 days between emails, which in like the lifespan of a hot lead is like an eternity, because they cool dramatically in that 2-3 day time period. And so I think it's more so what most people, I would say most brands that companies have had exposure to over the years, they're not looking at the recency and the patterns of time or deviations in time relative to those things. They're sort of just like, oh, this is a strategy. Oh, this is a template. Oh, this is in a YouTube that we saw, and they just do it. But there's zero-party data points in every single business. These patterns exist in every business. Some businesses, they're very similar. Others, they're not. But that's the one unique element that every business has that they don't leverage, is what are the patterns in their business respectively. And if they were to use the patterns to their advantage, they would create an experience that none of their competitors can mimic, because none of their competitors are doing this stuff.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I've sort of been testing that out more so with Freshly than ever before. Just within the last 30 days, I think last week our ROAS was 6.28. We spent 10 to 15% less on ads. Revenue was up, but it's just because we have data optimization within in the email list.
Yeah.
So with that note, just a couple last questions here. With AI and chat, where do you see like email marketing sort of evolving to?
I think I think at this moment, because this shit changes so fast, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? But at this moment, I feel like for the practitioners, me, you, the other guys that run agencies, the folks that are the guys and gals that are doing, that are the practitioners of the channels, even in-house at companies, I
right,
think it's a tool to give them 8 arms when they only have two.
right. I agree. Yeah,
I feel like for the bell curve of the bell curve of businesses, there will be some tools that help with automation and or speeding
right,
things up or and so forth. But at this moment, with the outside of ChatGPT, Claude, but even some of the other tools that are in the email space, trying to handle the creation of emails end to end. It's just not it's there yet for, I would say, the lower GMV brands, maybe under 30K a month, that just need something, and they're not going to hire me or another agency to do stuff because they're not at that level yet. But at a certain point, maybe above 500K GMV, $1 million a year for sure. At the moment, the tools aren't there to supplant me or any other a professional from what I've seen so far. But in terms of how we leverage the tools now, it really just gives us leverage on time to be able to to be more efficient, and that's from a more of like a copywriting standpoint. But
right,
where I'm using it most is more so like on operations, not creative per se, but more so moving things around internally more quickly, more efficiently in a way that I couldn't do before at the previous
right.
agencies.
Yeah, that's
So I'm
true.
not really threatened by at this moment. I don't feel threatened by it,
Yeah, 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 exactly.
but it's a
So,
blessing. It's awesome, dude.
well, yeah, you're still going to need. I think if anything, we're going to see a rise in the service businesses, and for someone like you, you're not necessarily going to have to hire more. You're just going to have to know. You know the processes, as you need to be more efficient and more
Yeah.
effective. So I agree with that. All right, last question. Um, if you had to double revenue on email, what's one play? What's your
Dude,
play?
it's a good
You,
question, but the hard part, it's hard to give an answer because like there's so much data points I don't have. Like, are they doing 10 million a month or are they doing 10,000 a month? You
yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And then like also double email. Are they doing 1% from email right now? Or
Mhm,
are they doing 50%? You know what I
mhm.
mean? And so
Yeah.
it's hard to answer that question.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good curveball.
It
Yeah.
is a good curveball.
But what's cool is you just kind of that was a curveball, but I didn't hit the strike zone with that one. Okay. So you watched that by like Aaron Judge. You're just like, all right, cool. All right. So basically, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Twitter, always.
Okay.
Or x.com, twitter.com forward
Yeah.
slash the Phil Rivers, or Growth Point with an E at the end. So like ballet, Growth
Mhm.
Point, POINTE.io, growthpoint.io.
Cool, cool. And then I did think of one last question.
Talk to me. Shoot.
And I just, at the end of the day, like you've obviously are in the game. This is your career, and you're passionate about it. As you're sort of logging out for the day and you're about to go and enjoy time with your family, what's the one takeaway that you just know that you live by with your agency and know that you're going to take to the next morning and what you do every day?
Damn deep last question, dude. Deep. So
I
as it
had to
relates
go strike ball. Sorry,
as
dude.
it relates to the agency, I
Yeah.
honestly I just think that I always I always want to give the folks that I have the pleasure of working with the best service possible and give them driver return relative to what they pay me. And honestly, like it's just showing up and doing what's required every day in order to fulfill those two obligations.
Hmm.
I think it's pretty simple at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like, if I distill it down fundamentally, like, yeah, we send emails and text messages
Yeah.
and we can make money and stuff, but fundamentally, in the scheme of life, all we're doing is sending emails and text messages. Like, it's
Hmm.
not that
Hmm.
important, but
Hmm.
what is important is like me doing what we do, flexing our muscles on our expertise
Hmm.
affords the people that hire us to hire other employees on their team, live the life that they want to live, have their free cash flow, and so on and so forth. So I'm just a steward for making that part of it happen, as long as they're willing to keep me around. And the only way that they'll keep me around is if we serve them well, communicate well, and make them money.
I love that though, and I really think like as we're going into this transition that we all see that's happening before our eyes, the most important thing that we can do as humans is really be consistent, communicate, be a little creative at the end of the day. But I think you hit it on the head, man. Like I love that. Just knowing your role, being mature in that role. There's just unlimited success for anyone who just takes that to heart and just shows up every day and really delivers. So,
Yeah.
and you're a professional, man. Really look up to you. Appreciate all that you do.
Likewise, dude.
I know you got to run, so I appreciate you sharing your story,
I
man.
appreciate you for having me, dude. Hopefully it's received well and we can do another longer one in the future.
All right, sounds good, man. Talk to you
All
soon.
right.
All right.